This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're live for the first time. We're talking to Tony St. Tone for the first time. Welcome to the Phantom Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. We just want to let people know that we're using Podmatch. If you use the QR code, you can see that QR code up there. You can, if you want to be a guest on a podcast or you want to host a podcast, check that out. Scan that QR code with your phone to learn about Podmatch. So we do that ahead of every show. Before we get to the heart of your story, I always ask guests a couple questions. Like what motivates you and why do you do what you do?
So I'm a singer-songwriter, and a lot of my music is written motivational, inspirational music. It's in a pop, rock, country vein. I like to write in a lot of different styles, but I love writing music. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm a full-time musician, and I mean, it's a passion. You do it because you love what you do. You know, I don't do it for the paycheck. I don't do it for the fame. I do it because I love what I do.
That's interesting. I've talked to a lot of musicians. Started a podcast back in 2016 with a focus on singer-songwriters who had not been interviewed. So I wanted to give emerging and independent singer-songwriters a chance to talk. And I'm a musician myself. I'm behind all my synthesizers here. So I'm a singer-songwriter synthesis. I just feel talking to creators is just really interesting to me because everybody's approach as a creator is different. And so I want to get into the kind of heart of your craft. Being a fellow musician, I always like to ask people like what gave you the permission structure to feel that you could be a singer-songwriter?
You know, when I first picked up the guitar, the very first thing I did was write songs. And the very first show I did, which was in 1984, it was March 17th. Our set list consisted of like 10 originals and one cover. So right from the get-go, man, and that was in the basement with like 10 friends, but from that point forward, it's like, wow, okay, this is what I do.
Yeah, you had that spark because it's interesting because I've been playing since I was like 15. And
Yep, 14 here.
I had a basement band, and my basement had all these, in junior high school, all these other musicians. I was in, the band at school, and a lot of the kids in the band had their own bands. Most of them were cover bands.
Right.
Most of them were trying to copy, like, this is back in the day, people, the new wave era, like MTV, everybody's trying to copy like Duran Duran. Everybody's trying to copy like whatever they saw, the new wave stuff. And I was like, I want to write my own stuff. And so we had a bunch of guys that like we wanted to write. I had a drummer and a bass player. And it's a really different mindset when you're around people who want to write their own music versus the guys who just want to do all the covers.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, if they did, and so you stuck to your guns. It's like, hey, I'm going to write my own thing, right?
Well, here's what happened with me. I started off as a singer-songwriter, and like I said, the first song, the one cover we did, I think, was "Say Goodbye to Hollywood" by Billy Joel, which was an interesting choice.
That's a good song, yeah.
But from there, I did embrace covers, but I've never stopped doing originals. So I have written and recorded over 18 CDs. And hundreds and hundreds of songs I've written, and now I just release singles. But as a full-time musician, I've embraced covers also to make a living.
Yeah, to make a living, you got to play some covers.
Yeah,
it's like
and
a
also
balance between like being a cover band and having original music. It's like if you do too many covers, then you're the cover band. So you kind of have to have that balance.
You find that balance, yeah. And what I do is, what I've been able to do is I play as a solo, a duo, a trio, a full band. I have a cover show, I have an original show, and I have a tribute show. So as a full-time musician, I'm doing 225 plus shows a year. And I've done over 7,000 shows.
Yeah.
So
you found a way to do it.
I found a way to do it, make a living, make a good living at it, and still keep a balance of, and the passion is definitely still the original material, no matter what. That's where your passion and heart is, because I love writing new stuff and just constantly just coming up with new ideas.
Now, in terms of like the ideas, like a lot of people, people say, well, I got a download from the universe, right? Or they're like the Victorians, like I'm inspired by the muse. And then there are guys who are really like they sit, at the piano and they're writing it on the sheet, and they're being very deliberate.
Right.
So is it like a little bit of everything? Is it the download and the writing on the sheet, or every song just comes to you a certain way, and it's not one formula for anything.
So I would say a lot of my stuff gets downloaded. I like to scat sing. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll grab a guitar, start playing chords, and I start scat singing.
Yeah.
And as I start scat singing, I'll give you an example. I was in Costa Rica on vacation. I started playing these two chords, and I started singing "Mama Said We Could Always Work It Out," and I had no idea what that meant. But then I built a song around it.
Yeah.
Other times I'll wake up in the morning and my wife will know that something's going on. I'm like, "Don't talk to me." There's a complete song in my head and I'm trying to get it
Yeah.
out like and capture it on tape on my phone. Somehow I'm trying to capture it. So I'll be half awake, like just singing it over and over in my head. And
Get
like,
it down.
you got to wake up, man. You got to capture this. You know,
That,
that's
that's
it.
really interesting. Cause I remember I was reading about Hendrix, and he was playing with the Isley Brothers. He was in a session, and they were recording one of the Isley Brothers songs, and he just played something that was totally not that song at all.
Right.
And they asked, like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, the universe gave it to me. I had to put it down."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, a lot of times, like I have a bedroom studio. I'm in it right now, and I just like to be able to just, if it comes to me, I just want to put it down.
Michael Jackson, I heard an interview with him. He said, the universe gives me songs, and if I don't take them, they give them to Prince. Well, I need to
Yeah,
grab them when I get them.
you
And
gotta
I
get
went,
them.
wow, okay.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. Because sometimes, like, I read about like Zappa. Like he had a style where he recorded like everything. He could record stuff that was on the road, stuff that was in his studio, stuff in his living room, and then he cut. And sometimes he cut and spliced live stuff with new stuff. And it's like it comes to you however it comes to you. But like I like to just run the tape, like Neil Young. He used to just run the tape with the guys like in Crazy Horse, and they just put stuff down and go find the nuggets in it. Like after a
Yeah.
couple hours, like, hey, here's a nugget, and then maybe this works with this other thing. And I just put a lot of tape down, and
Yeah.
you find what works.
I've done that also. Actually, I have a song. It's a song called "Empower Me," and oddly enough, I had been doing one of those sessions, like you said, a songwriting session where I hit record and ideas just come. So this song had gotten written about, I would say 90% lyrics, melody, and words. And it was part of a tape that had a bunch of other ideas. And I didn't really pay much attention to it. So I'm trying to show a friend of mine a song, actually my guitar player. And he goes, "Oh, what's that?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Don't worry about it. I want to play this other thing. It's probably a little forward." He goes, "No, no, no. Go back to that." I go, "Dude, I don't know what that is." And I was like frustrated with him. So I play it for him and he goes, "I'm telling you, Tone, that's
That,
something."
that's
And
it.
then he called my wife in and he goes, "Listen to this." And she goes, "Oh, that's really good." And I had ignored it, but they both found it for me. And next thing you know, I actually ended up recording it twice so far. So it's one of my better well-known songs.
That's an
So,
interesting thing because a lot of times, like when I've read about, I read a lot about a lot of musicians, a lot of creators, and they'll say like sometimes they're not the best judge of their own work. So
no.
somebody else has to come in and they will like have something on the shelf and say, "Well, that's garbage. That's no good at all." And then somebody else hears it and says, "But that's what you should be working on."
Yeah. But see, you don't know because you're so close to it. And a lot of times I think as musicians and creatives, we're always so excited about the latest, greatest thing that we came out with. And there could be a song that's been sitting on the shelf for 10 years and they go, "Dude, what is this?" You're like, "I don't know. I wrote that 10 years ago." And you're like, "Well, I never heard it and it sounds modern and fresh to me. And that's better than what you got now." So,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's like it's not always like I was talking to filmmakers, and filmmakers are famous for not doing their films in sequential order.
right,
Sometimes they'll do the end at the beginning, in the
right.
middle. It's all over the place, and they find that actually helps their process if they don't do it sequentially,
Hmm.
because then they start to realize it's like, oh, what I planned out wasn't exactly what I should have done. I
Right,
should have
right.
done something else.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, you look at what you've put together and you go, okay, does this work? Does this not work? And as far as how it comes to you, man, I've had melodies first and then put music to it, but 90% of the time I usually write with a guitar
Right, with the
and
guitar.
scat sing, and that's my thing. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I've
because
I've done it a bunch of different ways. Yeah, oh yeah,
The
they're all
guitar is guitar is a great writing instrument. I'm not a guitar player. I'm a frustrated guitar player, so I try to get my synths to sound like guitars. But the piano, like I tend to start with just a straight piano
right.
and just have a mic like this one open and it's beyond my piano. And you find that you could try to plan something out, but if you just stay on your piano, just putting chord progressions together, putting melodies together, you can come up with something that feels really authentic.
Yeah.
Like in that approach, is that what you find is sometimes just being there with the guitar,
Yes.
and you come up with, even if you're scatting, because like Tom Petty was scatting some of his famous songs, he didn't even have the hook. He would just scat like a melody and then come up with
Yes.
the lyrics after.
Yes. That's exactly what happens to me. And then when I say I get a download, what I'm saying is a lot of times the scat that I came up with, if it's Mama Said or best case scenario, whatever the words are, uh, I don't have an intention of writing it. It usually works best for me to just play it. And if I'm in the process of actually, let's say I have a melody and I have an idea, now I'm trying to come up with a second verse. If I
Mhm.
sit there and try to force a second verse, it just never flows as well as let me just hit loop and just keep playing this verse over and over again and just
So
keep
you get it.
singing different things. And as I just sing, it flows so much better and the lyric and the melody just seem to work so much easier than me trying to force a word into a melody. It's like that doesn't sound right anymore.
Yeah, I started coming up like I started like a lot of times I started like with poetry, and then I really realized like poems aren't songs.
Right.
Poems don't work as songs. It's like you can start there, but in order to make it work with the music, you have to adjust. And in the sometimes you can get a poem to work if you force it, but really like if you just like stream of consciousness on the mic, like that can sometimes work very well because
Yeah.
then you can say, hey, well, what I said here works there, and then you move it around, right? And then you figure out what works, but you get the ideas out. It's just, and I try to tell people like there's this thing, perfection trap today, because so many
Yeah.
people are on these digital tools, these DAWs, and
Yeah.
everybody's got to use them, right? But the fact is, like, because you can make it so perfect, I kind of am old school. I'm a child of the '70s. I like the happy accents.
Yeah.
That I go, reading about Keith Richards, reading about Dylan. Like I had a Dylan recording engineer on, and he said Dylan's guys around him used to get ticked off because he would just keep on changing the songs, and they never knew what the song was because he just in the session he's just changing it all the time.
Constantly changing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just if you're very creative, that's what you do because you're trying to get to what you want,
And
and
I was gonna say I heard that about Dylan that he would rewrite and rewrite and rewrite the lyric, going like, "There's some better words, some better." I think it was I heard an interview with him with the Traveling Wilburys,
Mhm.
and they said that Dylan never stopped writing up until the day that they were like recording the song. They're like, "Bob, these words are good." He goes, hold on, there just could be
Yeah, I
something
had
just a
all these
little bit better."
bootlegs. I got
Right.
all these bootlegs with like different versions of like Idiot Wind, different versions of Tangled Up in Blue. And the story is different. It's like
Wow.
he just approached it, and then finally like, okay, this is the one. But then when he would go do shows, sometimes he'd pull the bootleg version. He would actually sing the other version, and people in the crowd was like, "What's that?" It's like that's not what was on the record.
Right. 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 He's like, "Well, I just figured I'd give you a different story tonight."
Yeah, we're gonna do a different story today, but it's like I think it's really interesting when you approach it, like when you do live work. Do you try to be 100% what your song is, or do you give it some room?
I tend to give it some room just because the different musicians I'm working with tend to want to bring some of their personality to it. And
Mhm.
so, for guitar leads, for example, if it's a signature lick, I go, "Hey, man, give me that signature lick." But if it comes to this solo, let's extend it. Hey, let's add another bar for your solo on this because it works better live.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we'll do different things. Let's do an acapella breakdown right here. I heard Sting does that. Like he'll write a record, then go on tour and change the entire format of the
the whole
songs
thing.
throughout the
Yeah,
tour. By the time you get on tour, you're like, it's a different song. But
like the Dead.
and
The
his
Dead,
thought
they did
is, if you want to hear the
that.
record, stay home and listen to the record. If you want to see me live, I'm going to do different interpretations of
Like
it
if you go with to see the Dead, they were just doing their song reinvention all the time.
constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know the same thing with like Funkadelic. I would go see Funkadelic or the Almonds. Like the Almonds is like, even though I mean they're in the heart of the song, but they would just adjust, they're a jam band and they just adjust it. And they'd
Yeah.
be doing it for like 15, 18 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
and it's like people went to see them because they knew they were going to do that.
Yeah. Because they were going to, and I guess that's the thing. So, if you're a fan of the Doors or a jam band, you're like, okay, you don't know what's going to happen. What's really interesting about me is I like writing pop rock type songs, but I also like that open element where it's like, hey guys, let's just open this up a little.
Yeah.
Let's give this some breathing room, and if we're feeling it, let's go a little
If the
longer.
crowd's feeling it, you kind of can read the room. Like
Yes, exactly.
if you read the room and it's like they want the hit, that's okay. They want the song. But if
Right,
the room is like, hey, these guys want a festival
right,
and they expect you to do something a little different.
right.
So it's like, hey, you give it to them, you kind of read the room. It's like that's every. I mean, musicians, we immediately get feedback. We
Yeah.
we kind of know it like a comedian. You know it.
That's the best thing about being a live musician is when well, even up until this day, it's like, I'll write songs and I try them out live. And I try them out live just acoustically, when I'm doing a solo show. And if I see I'm getting a reaction just from me playing an acoustic guitar and singing it, I go, okay, there's
It's
something
worth
here.
it. Yep.
People are vibing off this. So that's an excellent way to get feedback, you know.
So you've played for like U.S. troops overseas. How's that feel? And people are in prison, kind of like Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison, right? Type of idea.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
you've
So
actually done that based on the notes I have.
yeah, so the USO tours, I did three of them, traveled to probably 25 different countries: Italy, Greece, Spain, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Korea, Okinawa, Kuwait, all over the place. And then, which was an amazing experience, just because the more remote the area, the more they appreciated the music. Like
Mm-hmm.
we were in Kuwait in a place called Tent City, and it was 600 troops, and we're on a flatbed truck. And they lost their minds. I mean, you would have thought Van Halen showed up because they were just like, "Oh my God, man,
Gotta get something.
we
You want
needed
every people, they
this."
need their tunes.
Yeah. And then with the jails is a whole nother thing that I do. I do a motivational show called Energize Your Vibes. And what
Mm-hmm.
that's about is I write songs that have a self-empowering motivational feel or theme. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll go in and I'll give you an example. I have a song called Breaking All the Rules That Were Meant to Be Broken. And it's about limitations that society puts on us, your family puts on you, or you put on yourself. And I say, if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're 100% correct. And then I tell a story about a guy named Roger Bannister, who was the first man to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Now, for 100 years, they thought it was impossible. And they all thought you would die, your body can't handle it. Well, this guy
Mm-hmm.
comes out in 1954 and does it. Well, then
Yeah.
within 2 weeks, someone else does it. And then within 2 weeks later, someone else does it. So
Yeah.
he
Break the
changed,
barrier. You got to
he
break the
changed that,
barrier.
yeah, he changed the perception of that. So I'll say to the guys that are in jail or guys that are in rehab or guys that are in, even regular people, doesn't matter. Like, what limitations have you put upon yourself? What has society told you that you can't do? Or what have you told yourself that you can't do? Maybe you need to be that Roger Bannister and be the first one to go to college in your family or be the first one to be president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, maybe you're meant to be that first person to do it. Success leaves clues. And then I go into the song called Breaking All the Rules. So I give them a motivational pep talk, if you will. I give them some examples of some real life people that have changed perceptions. And then I go into the song.
Yeah, cause you like to talk about like resilience and you like to connect and it's just affirmations and also giving people hope. Like cause you can get into a mode with certain type of music that you could be in a downward spiral, or you could be in the negative.
Right.
And some people they can they make money doing that. They get fame doing that. And the other people like a Stevie Wonder, everything he was doing was like poof, pushing up, right?
Yeah. I'm all about pushing up. Yeah, I mean that's just that's where my vibe is I like to go in there and shake things up and just get you to think. What I say is I go in there and I plant a lot of seeds, and the nice thing that I've seen is because I've gotten to meet guys that have come out of jail and gotten to speak to them, and they're like, "Man, you have no idea what you did that day."
Yeah.
Especially at the end of shows, like I have people come up to me at the end of the shows, they're like, Yo, I didn't know what you were going to do, but I really needed to hear that today. When you talked about reinvent your life, I'm 46, man, and I'm trying to do that. And you're talking about a woman, Grandma Moses, who was 78 and start a whole new career. And I
Yeah,
go, yeah, man. So there
never.
is possibility,
Yeah, like the thing is, like if you wake up thinking that you're done before the day even starts,
Yeah,
but you got people that in prison, they get a degree, they educate themselves,
yeah.
they
Become
become
lawyers.
they become lawyers, they become scholars, they become like because you can take that time and you could be resentful and be upset and like burn yourself inner self. You could burn yourself out being
Right.
angry or resentful, or you could actually go and say, you know what, maybe I need to look in the mirror, look in glass self, and actually say, what could I do to improve my
Yeah.
situation?
Right.
Reprogram your brain, reprogram your bad loops, and move forward.
That's exactly it. That's it, 100%. And I think what I find amazing is when I come in and I talk to these guys, because I'm pulling from guys like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Brian
Mhm.
Tracy. They've never heard stuff like this before. So they're sitting there like sponge and they're just like, and the thing I love about it is when I do these different shows at the jails, you got 35 guys in there and then I do shows with the women, but they're all leaning forward, listening. They're
Mhm.
like, okay,
You
this
got their
guy's onto
attention.
something. He's saying something that got me
Valuable.
interested instead of like, because it's like being a school teacher. Do you have everyone's attention
Yeah.
or are the kids just like,
When you had
messing
that
around?
good teacher, when you had the good teacher and everybody wants to be in that class
Yeah,
versus everybody's trying to like looking at the clock.
right.
If everybody's looking at the clock, the teacher's not doing a good job.
Right, right. It's like you're not engaging us enough, or it's like we're not here. So I actually had people take a survey. One of the first times I did it down here, and I got 5 stars all the way across. And the things were like, how can you improve it? It's like just make it longer, man, and make it more often. So I was really excited to see that everything I had presented to these guys really touched the nerve, and they were very excited about it. So I knew that I was on the right path.
So, and going in, talking about that you have a spirit of music foundation. Does that
Right.
continue that thought? That continue?
Yeah, so that's what pays us to go and do those types of shows.
Hmm.
So as a full-time musician, the only income that's coming in is me playing music. So
Yeah.
my thought was is if I can get people to help donate, then I can go and do shows where people can use a life lift, but don't necessarily have the funds to do it. So it could be a
Hmm.
nursing home, a hospital, a boys and girls club, veterans, people incarcerated. So that's where the money goes. It goes to allow us to go and do these types of shows.
That's so. How? When did you get that idea? That spark? When did you feel like, hey, I can get this to work?
So when I was living in Los Angeles, my keyboard player was a sheriff, and he was the one who said, "Tone, a lot of your songs could really resonate with some of the inmates, and I know that they bring in different musicians." And I was like, "Okay." So we went and did the show. It was phenomenal. Um, And from there, I had a podcast myself called Humanitarian Radio, where we were interviewing people that were doing great things around the world instead of listening to all the negativity. And we had a woman on who um, was helping people set up nonprofits. And she had heard what I had done and she knew my music. And she goes, you could set up a nonprofit to do this and have people help fund it forward. And I says,
Mhm.
wow, I never thought of that. So, and that was 10 years ago.
So you actually took the time to actually build the nonprofit.
Yes. Yes.
That,
Built it.
that, that not every musician's going to take the time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, but that's again, that allows me to go and do these types of shows. Like, if I go into these nursing homes if you've ever played at a nursing home before, these people don't get out. A lot of them don't have family that visit them, and they're
Mhm.
stuck there for like 10, 15 years, just wasting away. So there's zero entertainment. It's might as well be in prison,
Yeah, it doesn't
and I
sound like a
roll
good
in
place.
and perform, and when I come in, they're like, "Oh my God, live music." They're so
That's a really good
excited.
idea to bring that. People should bring one act plays to nursing homes. They should
Right.
they should bring more art because I have a big I talk to all types of creators, painters, musicians, filmmakers, and I just feel like art is what makes life worth living.
Yes.
And you can see that when you go to a prison, right? You go to a nursing home, you talk to the troops. It just is like art is something that can really have a lot of power. And some people are like, oh, poo-poo it. It's like, oh, they don't know. Like you know it as a musician when you're playing in front of a crowd
Yeah.
and you see
Yeah.
immediately the emotional response of the audience.
Oh
So
my God, dude.
you know
It's
there's an
amazing.
impact.
Listen, I've had nurses start to cry because they've seen guys that have been catatonic and not move anything, like, for years. And all of a sudden they're moving their toe or they're moving their foot just by me singing, because it connects to a different part of the brain. So they could have Alzheimer's or dementia, but all of a sudden I start singing a song that they're familiar with. They're like, they light up and they start either singing the words or something, but there's a reaction.
Hmm.
And when you can see that, I mean, words can't describe it. I mean, that's connecting with the human
Yeah, that's a
soul.
vibe. Well, it's like a frequency because everything in the
Exactly.
universe is like a frequency, right? So musicians, we immediately learn that our rhythms, our polyrhythms, our music, our tones, our harmonies, even discordance or noise or the space between notes.
Right.
We learn how all that works together and has an impact. So
Hmm.
when we're writing, we crescendo, decrescendo, emphasis, don't emphasis, space between the notes, you know, just
Right.
using atonal. You do all these different things, right? With the tones, because you're getting an effect. You're creating a sound painting, right?
Yes.
You're creating these sound movies, and
Exactly.
in these frequencies, people go to sleep with music, the
Yeah.
atmosphere of music. People try to meditate with certain music. People
Yeah.
try to calm themselves down with music because it has power.
Well, that's it. If you think about it, we are all made up of frequencies, right? So we resonate at different frequencies. And so if we want to elevate, we listen to these different frequencies and we feel better. If you listen to a sad song, you feel sad. I mean,
Yeah,
a minor key is feels sad and a major key feels happy. Well, how is that? It's like, well,
yeah. The
it's a
Beatle chord
frequency.
feels like with this.
Right, right.
Like,
So when you start to understand that, you're like, this song always makes me feel happy. It's like, yeah, because it's that frequency is a happy frequency.
yeah, it's like get into fusion jazz, and you get into like I just love getting into like all types of music, and
Yeah.
and being from it, whether it's a punker like the Clash, or like
Hmm.
Sun Ra or Coltrane or Johnny Cash. Like I listen to so much stuff, and people's like, well, how can you like you don't want to pick a side? Like, why should I pick a side? It's like
No,
it's all good.
that's been my blessing and curse. Being an original artist is that I love to write in different styles. And when you talk to record companies or people that do marketing, they're like,
They
well,
they can
we
take
want you to be just a punk band that plays three chord song. They want it on a pinhead of who
yeah,
you are. And I go,
yeah,
that's not me.
Green
That's like
Day
trying
all
to tell.
day.
That's like trying to tell the Beatles who are the Beatles. The Beatles were like, they went from
They were a boy band, they're like the first boy band, right?
right,
And then they
right, from
become
pop songs to this.
the psychedelic art. By the time you get to the last album, they're
Yeah,
the precursor of like Pink Floyd and Yes.
exactly.
They're setting the stage for the album to be an art form, right?
And they did
Because
that in 4 years. And
yeah,
they did it in 4 years. So it's like those are the bands that I get excited about. Those are, a modern day artist is someone similar to. I'm a big fan of Train. Train
hmm,
different albums have different feels,
yeah,
and also Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars will,
yeah. He
have
does
like a
different. Yeah, he doesn't do the same thing over and
doesn't do the
over.
same thing over and over, and but his audience allows him to be creative and just constantly try new things, and that's where I'm at. I'm like, hey, you'll come see me and you'll hear a country song, you'll hear a rock song, you'll hear an R&B type song, but it keeps it interesting and engaging, and especially when I do my Rise Up show for the people in jails and stuff, I'll come out with a reggae song, a pop song and stuff. So there's a different feel for
Feel.
each person in the room. So they're not like, oh man, I'm not into heavy metal. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm
so you
not into
give
pop.
everybody a little bit of everything, and I think that's
Yeah.
cool because we're in a world where everybody's so niche. Like the
Yeah.
algorithms tell you, and I do this with this show. I mean, my show is I talk to people who are creative. I talk to a lot of musicians, but I talk to anybody who's a creative. And
Right.
so there are people who say, "Oh, you should narrow the focus." And it's like, why?
Why?
Because we were told it's like, well, in order to get the algorithm, you got to have a repeatable thing. I said, well, that's what the computer wants.
Yeah.
That's that. I don't care what the computer wants.
Well, there's people like you and I who are saying, "Hey, man, I love the fact that he talks to a musician, then an artist, a painter, and then he talks to someone who's making movies because it's all creative." See, I don't just make music; I'm a graphic designer and a video editor also.
Yeah,
So
because you
it's like,
find that out. Like I've talked to a lot of people. That's why I was got another question. It's like people think, oh, well, you're just a musician, but a lot of musicians like they have other talents,
right,
right? They do other things. And people are not just one thing. He's like, well, an accountant wants to make you think he's only an accountant. An actuary, they're only an actuary because pretty much that's what they act like. But even they might be doing like a play at night. They might be going off and doing some other task you would never imagine. That, oh, this accountant is doing this other thing. It's like because they don't seem like it. People
well,
are
and again,
multifaceted.
isn't it interesting that that's how society likes to put people into categories? So that's breaking all the rules that were meant to be broken. It's like, hey, I don't want to be put in. I don't want to be pigeonholed to. Well, you write rock songs or pop songs or disco songs. It's like, no, I write music and I write songs, but I also do graphic design work and I also do some painting and I also do some video editing. So it's like, oh, so you do all this? Yeah, I even do some acting. I'm like, oh, and sometimes people can't comprehend that because they go, I can barely do one thing. I go, well, that's okay. That's who you are. You're
That's
like,
who you are. But even
I'm,
then, they're
I'm
probably selling themselves short because they probably do other things. They
right.
just
But in their mind, they're like, I'm an accountant. That's
Yeah,
what I
that's
do.
how. Yeah, you might be coaching the team. It's like, but you don't call yourself a coach. You go, I'm not a real coach. Like you
Right,
have to be an
right, right.
NFL coach to be a coach. Say, no, you don't.
Exactly, exactly. But again, that's their perception or society's perception is, well, if you're not getting paid for it, then it's a hobby. Okay, I don't know who made that rule up.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, I mean, yeah, if you think about William Blake, he didn't get paid for those poems.
right, right.
He's one of the greatest Victorian poets of all time. He's like you just because you don't make it. I mean, a lot of times like you get these underground things, and people find you like the Velvet Underground, Lou Reed. It
Yeah,
happened to be that Bowie liked him, and that
yeah,
was a big boost. And then boom, then he finally made it. But in '66, the only people listening to him were other musicians.
yeah, yeah.
There's
But it
nobody
took
else to
a
listen to.
creative to find him, not a record company.
Yeah, another creative was like Bowie said, I see a spark in this. I see something good in this. And
Yeah,
it's typical that the creators will find other creators. You
yeah,
know,
absolutely, 100% all the time.
but you've been on stages with Foreigner, Kansas, Blues Traveler. What's it like touring like with bands like that?
So, I've never actually toured with those guys, but I've opened up for them, and some guys have been great to work with. Other ones not so great to work with. Um, a lot of times it's unfortunately it's a lot of egos. I
Yeah,
remember we were doing a show at Jefferson Starship, and me and the guitar player they had a box with a candle on it, and I says, "Hey guys, can we just move this? Because it's like we're already setting up in front of what you have set up." And they're always like, "No, nothing moves
it's our
from the
box.
stage." You're like, it's not like you have it mic'd. It's literally a prop of a candle on a box. Come on. And they're like, nope, that stays. But those are guys that are just they're angry at the world. I don't know.
Yeah, you get these guys like, well, we're going to use your amps, or you can't use our amps, or you can't
Yeah,
do this.
exactly. You're like, they want, let's not turn the PA fully on. Let's turn it on only the monitors. You're like, the opening act sounded like crap because God forbid you sound good
Yeah, we can't
or
have you sound
better.
good. So you can't use our Marshalls. You can't use
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So great experiences and some not so great experiences. But I mean, it's all part of it. It's part of what you do, right?
Yeah, I think the practical advice that you would give people, because like you've been living like out your passion. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of people they dream about it, they think about it, but they never put it into action. So like
right.
what practical advice would you give to people that like, are in that kind of phase where it's like, I don't know if they don't know if they can do it.
Right. So I used to live in Connecticut where if I did 2 or 3 shows a week, that was considered full time. And I knew that I wanted to play music full time. And so I packed up all my stuff and I moved to Florida, not knowing anyone. But I knew in Florida, I could play music full time 7 days a week, twice a day. Right.
Mhm.
So if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. So you have to just find a way to say, hey, do I really want to do this? And really just move forward with it, and start acting as if you've already done it. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. And if they don't inspire you, then let them fuel your fire. If they don't fuel your fire, then just, you have to walk away from them. If you have people around you saying, dude, you can't do that. You can't do, like,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When I was moving to Florida, I told all my musician friends, I'm like, dude, I'm moving to Florida. They're like, why are you going to do that? I go, I'm going to play music full time. Well, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to play full time. So they were projecting their insecurities onto me, and they would say, well, it's hot there. I go, well, it's hot here. Well,
My
yeah, but there's
insecurity
old
was
people
there.
there. And I go, dude, see, they weren't ready to, they didn't have the courage to move forward. So they wanted to almost discourage me from doing it, because then they wouldn't have to look at themselves and go, I want to do that, but I don't have the courage to pick up and leave my family and everyone I know here. So if you don't go, then I don't have to go. So you shouldn't go. You should stay here,
Yeah,
man.
it's a lot. It's like the people don't want you, like keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
And it's like the law of attraction. Like if you follow the law of attraction, you're gonna go with the people vibrating at your frequency.
Right.
And sometimes, like the crowd that you were with when you're 17 or 21, they're not gonna be there when you're 35,
Right.
because you've gone to a different place unless you want to stay with them.
Right. And so, that's a great example. So I tell guys that are in jail, I say, hey guys, listen, now that you have this different knowledge, you can't go back to who you were before, because once a mind is expanded, it's expanded. It can never go back. It can't retract. I says, but if you go back to the gangbangers and the guys that are robbing places, you're going to end up right back here again.
Yep.
If not, you can move on into a better life and serve society and get your act together. So they need to hear that. It's like, listen, if you hang out at a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Yeah.
Right? Just like a tattoo shop. Everyone's getting tattoos all day. You're going to sit there and finally go, I guess I'm going to get one too. Well, if you're hanging out with guys that rob for a living, you're going to be robbing.
That's your next job.
Yeah. So it's like, you want to surround yourself with the people that are doing what you want to do. And success leaves clues. So, find other people that are doing what you want to do. Ask them questions, study what they're doing, find out where they're playing, what songs are they playing, how are they doing it? I mean, there's so much information there if you look for it.
Yeah, you'll find what you want if you start telling yourself that you can do it.
Yes.
Instead of what you can't.
Yes.
Like every day saying you can't do it, you're never going to pick anything up.
Exactly. So again, it's that law of attraction you were talking about. So it's, like attracts like. So fake it till you make it. Start acting. And how would you be sitting? How would you be speaking if you were a full-time musician? What would your thought process be? What would your day look like? Write out what your day would look like. Hey, I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to wake up at 9:00 because I don't have to be at work until, my show starts at 10 tonight or whatever. But like, play out that scenario so that way now you start to think and feel what it feels like to be a full-time musician.
Yeah.
Even in the fantasy likes,
Well, you gotta put that kind of dream state. Like, you have to imagine it.
Yes.
You have to dream it, right, to make it happen.
Yes.
You can self-actualize when you do that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's super important for people to feel like you create your own glass ceiling. You can bust through it anytime.
Breaking all the rules that were meant to be broken.
Yeah,
if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're 100% correct. So it goes right back to that. Is society telling you can't be a full-time musician? Why? People don't make money at that. I mean, that was my dad. My dad didn't think I could make money at this. He constantly discouraged me, but I used him to fuel my fire. Yeah. That's the difference.
Well, musicians we always have to fight the fire, because people always trying to keep us from getting money, and we have to find a way to get the money.
Right. Right.
Because that's the nature of it. But I want to let people know that we have got your QR code up there, and if you scan it, it'll bring you right to your Mailer Lite website that we have the preview there, and that's your link. I clicked it myself, and that's where all your social links and how you can get to your music and get to everything you're doing, right?
Yep. There's my link tree. Yeah. Perfect.
Yep. So if people take your phone, if you don't know how to do it, take a photo of it, and you'll be able to go right to it. We do have the links below to your Instagram as well, and those are fully active on our channels that this is on. We've been live on LinkedIn YouTube, and Kick. We will be on Spotify video podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, and Newsly. By the end of the day tomorrow, we create a landing page for everybody. We could use some AI tools to create clips on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook Reels. So we'll let you have all that, and people can just choose what platform they're comfortable to check this out and do the replays and the re-watching, and we'll emphasize certain things on the clips. I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.